Well, political candidates will eat almost any food, strike any pose, searching for that perfect campaign moment. But those photo ops can quickly turn into a disaster, making a candidate look out of touch and hurting him at the polls. For a look back at some of the biggest political fiascos and the lessons learned from them, we turn to Josh King. He's the author of a fantastic new book called Off Script, an advanced man's guide to White House stagecraft, campaign spectacle, and political suicide. You definitely win the Best Book Title Award.
Thank you, Tucker.
Josh, great to see you.
Happy National Picnic Day.
We've just been celebrating. So probably the nightmare of any advanced man is to have a moment like Mike Dukakis in a tank in the closing days of the '88 campaign. For those who don't remember it, here it is.
Dukakis opposed the stealth bomber and a ground emergency warning system against nuclear attack. He even criticized our rescue mission to Grenada and our strike on Libya. And now he wants to be our commander-in-chief. America can't afford that risk.
The words don't even matter. The picture's so devastating. Who let him do that?
September 13th, 1988, Tucker. It was a long-standing idea. The polls that summer were bad for Dukakis. He wasn't showing gravitas as a potential commander-in-chief. So at Chauncey Street, the headquarters in Boston, they said, let's get him to Michigan, Sterling Heights, Reagan Democrat country, 22 electoral votes at stake, and let's bring him to the General Dynamics Land Systems plant. My old friend Matt Bennett was the advanced man assigned to Sterling Heights, spent several days at the facility with him, figured out all the choreography of putting him in the tank. He had great misgivings, told his desk back in Boston this whole event sucks, but nevertheless they went forward with it. They sent in a fixer at the last minute, Jack Weeks, the trip director, try and say, well, can he not put on the helmet? The helmet eventually went on the candidate at the last minute, and then Sig Rogish, the head of advertising for Bush Quail, 5 weeks later made that ad.
Absolutely genius. So it was not the advanced man's fault, it was the candidate's fault. Al Gore, the Floodgate scandal. Remind us.
Yeah, this is 2000. It's June. John F. Kennedy Jr. has just died in this plane crash off of Nantucket. The nation is in mourning. But Gore wants to get an early start on campaigning, goes to New Hampshire, the Connecticut River on the border with Vermont. He and Jean Shaheen paddling down the Connecticut River. He's battling against Bill Bradley, and there's a dam upstream called the Wilder Dam, and they release water every day, and if they changed the timing of that water release, the river would rise 12 inches. So the advance team said, well, this is great. We'll make sure that there's no snags along the river. Gore won't get stuck. He won't run aground. Imagine the optics of that. But Bill Salmon, who was then writing for the Washington Times, found a commissioner along the river and said, you know, they won't even do this to help us fish on this river, but they do it for a presidential candidate. Salmon does all this great reporting, has 4 stories in the Washington Times, and for a week, all they could talk about was Floodgate.
I remember it so well. And very quickly, maybe the most devastating moment I thought of the 2004 campaign, John Kerry windsurfing. We may have a picture of it. How did this happen?
Well, this is the Republicans had convened right here for the Republican National Convention that weekend. Kerry was relaxing in his Nantucket compound and said, I've got a new windsurfer I want to try out. And he gets out, and he thinks he's windsurfing in sort of a private cove, but the pool says, you know, there's no privacy on the waters of Cape Cod Bay. And so they get these pictures. Meanwhile, Mark McKinnon is here in New York. He's watching it and says, this fits so perfectly with that event back in West Virginia when Kerry said, I voted against the war I voted for the war before I voted against it, and said, that's a classic flip-flop moment. So if you contort this video that the pool had of tacking left and right into the wind, and you know from your days on Rhode Island that the winds can be pretty severe out there. Russ Schrieffer gets in a studio, puts that ad together, applies the music of the Blue Danube Waltz, Johann Strauss's classic score, and suddenly you have the European candidate windsurfing off of Nantucket, flip-flopping on Iraq.
To be totally honest, he was a pretty good windsurfer, actually.
Oh, great credit to him.
Didn't get credit for it. Josh King. The book is Off Script, and it's awesome. Get it for Father's Day. Thanks a lot, Josh.
Thanks, Tucker.